Okay, it is December 8th, 2022. Workplace building and culture of our department in the PACU. And we'll hide these. You should be able to go down here.
Okay.
Cool.
That's fine.
All right, thank you.
Good morning. We were given the tough topic about addressing bullying in our department. And one of the things that I've noticed about our department is we have really strong people in here that are very kind, but there's always room for improvement. Our goal is to just draw some attention to things that we can work on to improve, not to point fingers at any person, but more of a self-reflection of what we can do to change ourselves, because we can't change anybody. Jeanette found some really interesting information. I thought it was really interesting that one of the first accounts reported on workplace bullying in nursing was in 1909 in the New York Times. I don't know if you want to say more.
No, it was actually, it was about the supervisors, bullying the staff. And I did want to go back and say, why are we talking about bullying and why are we having this conversation? This is all regarding related to our employee engagement survey that we put out. So we wanted to, we saw a need to address and, like I said, have a discussion, and hopefully we can all talk about it today, and we can all work together and improve our communication. So yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah, back in 1909. They were, that was the first, one of the first reported articles about nurse bullying.
Unfortunately, the acts of bullying are becoming more and more violent. We see this in the news all the time. And if we can be proactive rather than reactive, where we can kind of address the problems that we have in our department so it doesn't escalate. Any plan to reduce or prevent the occurrence of bullying must begin with an analysis of the impact of bullying. 1 in 7 suicides are linked to workplace bullying. And I don't know if any of you know this, but we did have a nurse here at U of M that committed suicide. And in her letter that she left, she stated that one of the reasons why she committed suicide was because of workplace bullying. I know that we have been under such tremendous stress with the pandemic, and that mental health issues have come to the surface for a lot of people. It's important to me to address that because I've had family members that have committed suicide. So I want to make sure that everybody is in a safe place here, that it's not impacting you to that extent. Because healthcare workers have a 38% higher suicide rate than other workers because of all the stressors that we face. The National Crime Victimization Survey showed that healthcare workers have a 20% higher chance of being a victim of workplace violence than other workers.
This is our survey we sent out. We got 31 responses, I think, in total, which is pretty good, I think, for our surveys go. Our department is pretty big, but it's a response. Sometimes this isn't 100%, obviously. But for have you ever been bullied in our department? We had 9 people said no, 6 maybe, and then 16 or 50% of our responses said yeah. And then, have you ever witnessed a peer being bullied? And our responses, 9 were no, 5 were maybe, and 17% were yes. 17 were yes, which is 54% of the responses.
So to have a working definition of what bullying is, workplace bullying is repeated and unreasonable behavior directed towards a worker or a group of workers that can lead to physical or psychological harm. And the Joint Commission has identified disruptive and intimidating behaviors as one that undermine the culture of safety. And bullying is a psychosocial hazard. The tricky part about bullying is perception and intention can be very disconnected. I intend for my communication to come across this way, but then the perception is received in a different way. And part of what we can do to bridge that gap is communication, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Characteristics of those who bully are people that need for power or control. They may be unhappy at work or at home. They have an inability to see the effects of their behaviors, or they feel pressured at work or lack of management support. Characteristics of bullying defined by the PACU survey results.
Yeah. So I just pulled out this list from all of your all the responses that we got. Eye rolling, snarky remarks. One person makes remarks or exhibits nonverbal behavior that makes another person feel uncomfortable and concerningly makes them doubt their skills. Gossiping, micromanaging, unfair assignments, abusing your power, hostility, intimidation, rallying support or validation of this behavior with peers, aggressive conversation, controlling rather than leading, negative, critical, and judgmental, overstepping bounds of patient care, ignoring, and purposely withholding information to create a situation in which the other one looks bad.
So when we look at the characteristics that our unit has identified, I'm sure that we have seen some of these things that have gone on. When we were doing our research, I kept seeing like interchangeably lateral violence or bullying. And the difference between the two is lateral violence is a one-time thing. So it might be a bullying behavior, but it is a one-time thing. And then they kind of merge together, where this one time may turn into two or three, and then they cross over to bullying. And so it's the repeated behavior that is the bullying. So if you see somebody that rolls their eyes one time, it's bullying behavior, but they might not be a bully. So when we're doing self-reflection, we have to think about not only our words that are coming out, but our body language, our facial expressions. Why do people bully? Because there's a history of rewarding their behavior. There's a misunderstanding the skills needed to manage the problem. They rationalize the abuse. They're like, I was so mad at her and this is the way I reacted, because they feel like maybe they can't control themselves, or they're confusing what the solution is. They pit coworkers against one another. And abuse at work is the only form of abuse in America that is not yet taboo. All others have been condemned. The abuse of children, spouses, partners. And while bullying at work is still considered a normal, inevitable, or even necessary business practice, we have seen physicians, nurses, management, techs bully at work. And everybody kind of just expects that. And hopefully we'll be able to figure out why and to stop it. Characteristics of the one being bullied: new employees, new nurses. We have all heard that nurses eat their young. Someone that has received a promotion, or someone who has problems working with others, who has a trouble acquiring new skills. Someone who receives special attention or recognition. Someone who appears to lack confidence.
Some statistics of incidents of bullying. So in this slide, in the UK, they did a study. In UK, 38% of the staff reported bullying and likely to leave their job as a result. 42% have witnessed bullying. In the US, 70% of victims leave their job because of bullying. 33% for health reasons, 37% for manipulated performance appraisals. And a large percentage of the people that are looking for a new job cite that they're looking for a more desirable work culture. They're also in Asia, there was a study where they were 9-year study, follow-up study about bullying in healthcare. And they had cited in their 9-year study, sexual harassment had increased 4%, but it was at the highest in 2010. Verbal abuse was the highest in 2015, with an increase in 66%. Verbal threats was up 46%, and physical assault was up highest in 2019 with 13%. So, right, that is now we're unfortunately seeing a trend where it's coming, we're going from verbal to now more instances of physical. And so we don't want any of that. We want this all to be a safe place to work and an amazing place for us to take care of our patients.
One of the things that I thought was interesting on the survey is there was one person that put, I truly believe that we do not have any bullying that goes on in our department. And that is I'm glad that that is their experience. But just because you're not experiencing it doesn't mean that others aren't experiencing it. And just the fact that we found mounds and mounds of information about workplace bullying, as that is an unreal, I'm trying to think of the word, it's not a realistic evaluation of whether there's workplace bullying. If it happens worldwide, it's going to be happening here also.
Again, from our survey, we know anyone who has left the PACU, our PACU, due to bullying, and 16 people said yes. So 50% of the responses said yes, they did know somebody who's left our unit. We have a huge turnover right now, so we want to stop that.
Did you want
Sure. Impacts of bullying. Bullying is one of the most concerning forms of aggression because of its impact on the healthcare of a human being. And this is probably why I was excited, if you can say that, about addressing this, is because in the end of the day, you and I work together, we're friends, or we don't like each other, it's all good, we go home. We are all taking care of patients who are all totally vulnerable and are relying on us for their care. So that is what's important to me, is I just want to make sure we are all providing the best care for these people as possible. And it doesn't seem like a big thing, but if I walk in, I have like, oh, I don't like the person, and I walk by and I don't ask them if they need help, then I'm not only hurting them, they're hurting the patients who have. And that's the biggest impact on bullying in healthcare. Unhealthy workplaces contribute to medical errors, jeopardizes patient care. We take the focus off the patient, again, which leads to ineffective patient care, lowers morale. The conflict among the staff increases stress. We already have a high stress job. We don't need any more. Lowers job satisfaction, which increased absenteeism and increases in turnover. And it becomes like an unstable workplace. Right? When half of the staff leaves and you have new staff training new staff, right? There's a lot of stuff falls through the cracks. So, go ahead.
So I just wanted to share something. I have permission from the person who shared this with me. I just, when they were in orientation, their preceptor was pretty unkind to them. And when they had gone to the educators, and when I started, it was, different educators. I'm not talking about your educator, you, different educators. I want to make that perfectly clear. But this person, with the educators that were there before, they went to him and they said, I'm really having a problem with my preceptor. And they said, well, this is a fast moving department. And unfortunately, that is something that happens. People do get bullied during their orientation, and people have quit right in orientation because of the bullying. But this person, when they were in orientation, had several things that were happening in their personal life. And one day it was just a lot, and they went home and they contemplated committing suicide. That was one of our people in our department, one of our coworkers. This is a serious thing. Bullying in our department may not be like at the forefront, but there's an undercurrent. And how devastating would that have been if one of our people had committed suicide?
Again, there are survey results. Have you ever made an error in PACU patient care due to bullying? So 77% said no, but kind of concerning. 16% said maybe. 6% said yeah. So maybe is concerning. Yeah, and again, we don't want anything to affect our patient's care.
I had to throw a picture of Sully in there. I thought this was a good slide. Because health hazards of bullying, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular, sleep disturbances, mental health, and PTSD. He was not sick on that day. He's just a very good, yeah, he's a very good actor.
He's a trooper, right? He's like, have you ever called into PACU because of bullying or a hostile work environment? 22% yes. 9% maybe, and no was 67%.
The good thing about bullying is there are solutions. If we work together, we have to have strong leadership support. One of the statistics that I came across, and I couldn't put it in here because I couldn't find it a second time to cite it, was that management, plug your ears or open them up, one or the other. But 58% of the bullying that happens in workplace environment comes from management. So we need a strong leadership support, not leaders that are bullying the staff. It involves nurses for ownership, to have a committee or group who staff and can confide in fear without backlash. I know that that is a concern for a lot of people. If I say this, there's going to be retaliation. It's going to come back. It's not going to be a solution. It's just going to make the problem worse if I do say something. We need teamwork and team building, and we need to ensure dignity and respect and value differences.
Yeah. And then, and it's hard because we want team building is something that, trying to get together outside and get to know each other is hard to do, right? Forcing fun doesn't work, but we do need to figure out some different ways we can do some team building, get to know each other, some fun activities. The other side, equality and treatment and opportunities, handle conflict creatively, guidelines for acceptable work behavior and peer interaction. We do have a policy at Michigan Medicine about behavior and unacceptable behavior at work. Highlight employers' commitment to workplace free of disruptive behavior. And again, breaking the silence is what we need to start with, right? Silence contributes to a toxic environment. Ignoring it doesn't help. Walking away when it happens to somebody else, and pretending like it doesn't happen doesn't help. We just need to, be respectful of each other and treat everybody with the dignity that you want to be treated.
Bullying really is a symptom of a bigger problem. If we can have this conversation, then we can have the other tough conversations about what really is the problem and how can we offer a solution. Behavior models behavior. If we're modeling a negative behavior, then that is what we're going to get back. If we model a positive behavior, that is what we're going to get back. So just think about that. If you're having a tough day, maybe we need to have like a label like I'm having a tough day so people know that it's not necessarily a personal thing. I have this video for us to watch. I thought I was going to be able to bring it out.
I wish someone would have told me that sacrificing my boundaries in the name of empathy wasn't noble. I wish they would have warned me that all it would do is make me a safe house for other people's demons. I think empathy has to be taught in two parts. How to put yourself in someone's shoes and see the hurt they were given that made them hurt you, and how to understand that you still don't deserve what they're doing. Their scars are no excuse for the wounds they give to you. Their inability to heal is not something you can fix if you stay and continue to let them treat you in all these unacceptable ways. If you give them excuses and safe places for their darkness, instead of demanding they do better, the only thing you are teaching them is that you'll put up with it. We want to live in a world where hurt people don't hurt people, but the reality is that starts with you standing up for yourself and not accepting disrespect. You chose to heal. You chose to take the darkness the world gave you and still be a light. You chose kindness despite the pain you receive. They can too. Empathy is not an excuse to sacrifice your boundaries so someone can keep hurting you.
Now that I got this on full screen, how do I get it back? What we have,
Yeah.
Is it over here?
I wish someone would have told me that sacrificing my boundaries.
There we go.
we have some strategies to reduce bullying. Oh, sorry. Do you want to, again, one
Yeah.
time I'll do another?
Sure. Posture, eye contact, your tone of voice. Tone of voice is huge, right? Facial expressions. I was gonna draw a big smiley Cheshire cat face on my mask today, but ran out of time. Self-analysis, which is a big thing about why we're doing this, right? We just all want to kind of just think about ourselves, think, and analyze how we behave, how our behavior affects other people. Personal space, actively listening. When something happens, keeping like record the event, the documentation, who was around, just so you can try to get as many people's input, because there's always more than one side of the story. Usually there's 2 or 3 sides of the story. Staying calm and identifying barriers for good communication.
If you're going to confront the perpetrator, it's best to do so in private. I mean, how embarrassing is it for somebody to confront, you if you're in the front of a patient or peers or, the physician. Deal with the situation as soon as possible. You set boundaries. I don't like how that makes me feel. Please don't talk to me like that. Focus on the behavior and not the personality. It's going to take us adopting a zero tolerance in our department. We need to be aware of the policies and strictly adhere to them. And management needs to create a safe place to report without fear of retaliation or breaking confidentiality. Whoops, I'm sorry.
This next slide is the survey results about suggestions for that you guys gave for changing our culture. Leaders have to get information on reported events. There are multiple sides to a story. Talk to bystanders, talk to peers discreetly, see if they noticed anything unusual, then address the situation. Take complaints about disruptive behavior serious. If someone is brave enough to report, then there's likely something worth investigating. Identify the behavior and consider conferences with individuals. No tolerance policy, ability to file a complaint and then have some feedback on the resolution process. Suggest ways that we can support each other and not be hostile. Have more people step up and call out the bullying behavior. Fair rotation on the dailies, fair assignments, stop favoritism. Charge nurses should have formal training in how to deal with people. Promoting peer-to-peer mediation, anger management classes or therapy. Reinstate the mentor program. In-service on bullying by mental health professionals. Team building activities, encourage outside work activities.
Because bullying is a symptom, mediation does not always work, but finding out what the root cause of that problem is the solution that most often works.
One of the things that they've been doing some research on is building emotional intelligence. They've been doing this especially, I think, with surgeons and with leaders, seen as the key to being able to resolve conflicts at work and promote healthy culture. Ability to recognize and how effect their behavior has on others is the big thing. Awareness, control, and expression of one's emotion, and ability to handle 5 interpersonal relations empathetically, and ability to handle interpersonal relations empathetically. There's 5 traits: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills.
Moving forward, support is our target. Be curious, not judgmental. Courageous conversations, staying engaged, speaking your truth. Adaptive process to management stress and change in your life. Focus on the team and ask other staff what has happened. Like Jeanette had said, there can be 3 sides to every story. Name the behavior and ask them to stop and to have resilience.
I did some research. I think in holistic nursing, they're doing a lot of this about these be curious, not judgmental. So if somebody does something you don't understand or you don't agree with or you didn't like, they'd be like, "What did you do that for?" And ask why did you choose to do that? You know what I mean? What were you thinking? You know, just
Giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, right. And courageous, there's a lot of books now about courageous conversations. Something happens and you want to talk to somebody, it's a nice way to make yourself feel like to accept your vulnerability and say, you know what, yesterday, you and I, something happened. I would need to have a courageous conversation with you. When you're ready to have that with me, let me know and we can have a talk. That gives people time to think about what happened, to de-escalate from the immediate stress. And you're already coming forward and admitting your vulnerability and that this is not going to be like a touchy subject, right? And the keys to, you know, doing this courageous conversations is you have to, I think I haven't had another slide, so I won't buy. Well, it's just something fun we could probably all practice. I think it would be helpful. Where are we at?
To the next
Oh, yeah. Develop a robust diagnosis of the problem, utilize a plan that is tailored and integrated, deploy multiple approaches and measures, allow for training, communication, and time, right? Building cooperative partnerships, expect to experience discomfort, and expect a lack of closure.
When we move forward, we need to look at what are the actions of a bully. We had talked about eye rolling. One thing that we need to address is like silent treatments. When you're angry, it's okay to be angry and to control yourself, but continuous silent treatment makes for a hostile work environment if we can't approach one another and ask each other for help. So we need to really look at the self-reflect of what are the characteristics, and so when we move forward, we'll be able to address those problems within ourselves. Here are our references, and we'd like to open this up for discussion. If anybody has anything that they want to add, something that has worked well in your past work experiences, different solutions that we can come up with to make it a safe place for us. Does anybody have anything?
What was the courageous conversation that you were in the talk?
It basically is, so the courageous conversations, you have to, there are some, I don't know where, I think I lost my slide, but it's okay. You can, the best done in role playing, right? And it's best to do, have a meeting, have a safe place and a time. And like when you're going to have this courageous conversation, right, that allows the participants to name their feelings, like ahead of time, think about what they're, you know, what's going on. It helps validate them. It also helps, like it avoids putting people on the spot when they have that like downtime between the conflict between, you know, being aware that somebody wants to have a talk with them and actually doing it. You can do it just one-on-one, or you can also involve other peers, just so we have mediators, everybody feels safe. Because we all do perceive things differently. And we all can just, like I said, kind of de-escalating helps us kind of relax and reevaluate, so we can work out the conversation, you know, work out the situation. Usually situations happen when the conversations are not appropriate, right? Because it's usually really busy, which is another reason that you want to take time, take the time for the meeting and model what you hope to see, for open discussions and having no fear of backlash. They also encourage discussion groups, like informal, and you can do like one-on-one or do small groups and just allow people to share life experiences. This is kind of like a segue off of this courageous conversations. It's just allowing for cultural competence, allowing people to tell different stories, get to know each other better, and understand each other, where they're coming from. Just allow, and if people want to share something really good, they can, or, you know, whatever, just something personal about themselves. And safety at work is the key to retention and satisfaction. So model conversations, and we let everybody know that we're all committed to learning and growing, learning about each other and our patients, and growing as an institution.
If anybody is struggling with mental health issues, we do have the workplace resilience. If you need that information, it is found online, or you can reach out to any one of the supervisors. They have that phone number. And please reach out for help.
Any other questions?
So, question, guys. Actually, more like this is Belinda, by the way. Your statistics. Just kind of looking at it, because it looks so bad in the slide 11. I think it was from 10 to 13 that you were giving the statistics. It sounded like 50% of the people left our unit because of bullying. But that was from 31 participants. So I don't think it was from all the nurses that work in the unit. So maybe it was a less percentage than that. I don't believe we are 50% bulliers in the unit, or maybe we are, and I'm like just oblivious about it. But I think I was just bringing that up because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people. If it was 50% of our population in the unit, but I think it was just 31 nurses who responded to the survey from what I was looking into the slides. If that's correct, unless it's actually 50% of the whole unit.
Yeah, it's of the 31 that participated in the survey.
Okay, I see. All right. So, all right. That sounds.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't think we're that bad. I mean, I think we have our issues, but I feel like we're not too bad like that. I hope at least I'm not. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and I think Marna was the one presenting that about looking at the behavior and not the personality. Unfortunately, a lot of people, including myself, sometimes can have different personalities and maybe come across a little bit different or a little bit too strong. And that was a pretty good remark, saying that, is that a behavioral issue, or is that someone just so straightforward? And I think sometimes that's the clashing in between the unit, in our unit. Sometimes it's like strong personalities can clash, and the way that it's handled is not a very good, I guess. And also being in charge sometimes. Now coming back to the same role again. I would say like 90%, you're correct. The nurses do roll their eyes, and I would say 99% of the time, most of the nurses will roll their eye if they are in a situation that it doesn't seem appealing to them, or if they're in distress and you're giving them another patient, and they will roll their eyes. I mean, I don't think that's something that can be completely changed. It's just how nature of the person, of just a person in general. That whenever they're in a situation, I guess that is difficult, and if something else is added to it, it's just the motion of their eyes. They tend to just automatically go around. And we notice this as a charge nurse, and we try to be understanding about it. At least I try to be understanding about it, and make sure that you guys need my help, or if anything else I can help you guys. But it will be very nice if you do speak up. If you have a difficult situation and you are unable to do something, or like admitting another patient, or if you just need extra help, just kind of let the charge nurse know. I know sometimes they can be a little bit busier and maybe not notice that you need help, but yes, come to the charge nurse and let them know, and they can try to help and see how, try to smooth out the situation. Anyways, that was all I wanted to say.
Anybody else?
Oh, great job. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something? I was gonna say, I'll leave on the Zoom. Yeah, if, you wanted to.
This was so good. Thank you, ladies.
You guys did an awesome job.
Her badge is
Really.
flipped over and I can't remember her name. Carmelina. This was so good. Thank you. So I wanted to say a little something. I did not, I think I knew yesterday that you guys were going to give this presentation. And it falls very much into line of my leadership style and my nursing style. I am a nurse, and my nursing style in general. So a little bit about me. I'm pretty easygoing. I like people to give their very best. I expect everybody to make mistakes. We're people, taking care of people. There's always going to be those little things that happen. I think intent is really, really important. A couple of my big issues are toxic people and lazy people. We all have to work. I told somebody this yesterday. I was not given a trust fund. We all have to work, right? We're all here. Obviously, you guys didn't get trust funds either. When I come here, I have to be here. I'm going to make it as pleasant as possible. I want everyone to come into work with that same mentality. Dragging around, we may be tired, we may be fighting with our husbands, our kids may be doing something super duper stupid. Mine was texting me 2 hours ago, like she just thinks she's dying and can't go to school. She's going to school, right? There's always those things in our life, but I'm going to come here and I'm going to make it as pleasant as possible. And I'm still going to do the very best I can and have high expectations for myself and therefore you guys. Like that's my dealio. Lots of nursing units, probably this one too. I think this one at this point, I think this one too there's always some cultural issues. Again, I believe we as leaders, experienced nurses, mama nurses on the unit have a great ability to bring up the people around us. And sometimes that has to be done through corrective measures. I wish I could think of a better word for that than corrective measures. Because that sounds like punitive. I can certainly go up to Jeanette and say, hey, Jeanette, I saw you blah, blah, blah with that, when you did blah, blah, blah with that patient. No, I don't know if that's the best thing. I don't know if that's a policy. You know, we could do it blah, blah, blah this way. That is not coming down on Jeanette. It's helping her. She totally may take it wrong. She may. Okay, this happens a lot with nurses. She may take it wrong, but it is all in my presentation. That can be offered in support of her and making her practice better. I hope we all feel we can do that. There's a lot of newer, I don't want to say younger, but newer nurses, 4, 5, 6 years. I was a pretty dumb new nurse. I needed that group of mama nurses, super experienced nurses around me. So I think it can be something positive in something instead of something like bullying. There was a couple things that really stood out. I wanted to repeat a whole bunch of what you guys said, but I think that would have almost been bullying, beating it into you. 47 or 53%, something like that, had witnessed bullying. It's so simple to say, Jeanette, man, you were really, really tough on Susie Q. Like, you know, you may need to talk to her, and your presentation was really bad. Do you want me to go with you? Like, speak up, peer accountability, right? It's way better coming from you to each other than from one of us. That's way better, always works better. So that was one thing that really stood out to me. The other thing I wanted to say about it was, as we all sit here, we're thinking, oh my goodness,
Jeanette, she is such a bully. I wish somebody would talk to her. She's the one who should be having that crucial conversation. She's blah, 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 right? We should sit in our seats and think, have I done this? Has someone thought I was bullying them? Do I have a tendency to have that really sharp tone? All that things. If we can sit here and it self-reflect and just improve the unit a little bit, that should be our goal. It should not be in my head. You know, it's like when you go to a marriage counselor, it's all I'm thinking every time the marriage counselor is saying something, it's got to be my husband, right? When I should be thinking about me. I have a really good husband. We've only been to a marriage counselor once. But so just a couple things to think about. That's me in general. I'm starting to get to know some names. Please, if there's anything that comes up, come in my office, grab me on the floor. Few really bad things about me. I have no memory whatsoever. I live and die by a Post-it. If you're telling me something super important, you got to do, Chantel, write that down. So, and I have already told y'all I'm super bad with names, so it'll take me a little bit, but I'm excited to be here. There will be some changes. I see a lot of you here. Thank you for coming. I want you to bring some more of your friends next week because there are going to be some announcements and new things. And this isn't all a bad thing, this little thing. There's things happening. Okay. Jamie does have a few things too.
Okay. I just wanted to say, instead of everything being like that, we want to start acknowledging and appreciating the hard work that you guys do. So we wanted to recognize she's not here, but it was brought to our attention, our educators, orienting these new people and out of the way.
She's on Zoom. Kathy, I don't know if you can hear this, but Jamie, I don't know if you can speak up a bit more, but Jamie's recognizing you, Kathy, as just a phenomenal leader. And I know both Serena and I are compassionate about how much time and effort you put in with all of our orientees, and you're a huge asset to the unit.
I have a $5 gift card. I sign coffee.
So coffee's on the leadership team for Kathy. We're gonna continue to do this, so. Great
We
job.
do too much hard work here to not recognize each other.
Yes.
But this is not always fun, recognizing.
Yes. For another in-service that you're doing on bullying, how about giving us an in-service on how to deal with patients that bully you? Oh, that's a good idea. You know, because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just came back
that's
from
what I think
UBC,
too, about eyes and the attitude, because when you have 3 or 4
from patients.
bullying you, snapping you up, and then now we got visitors also on top of that. So why you on this subject? How about a subject on how to deal with patients and family members who bully you? What, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's one of
Because
the
we
things.
get bullied really often by them.
By patients
And we
and
just go
families
in and
even.
say good morning.
Yeah.
Man, that's one of the things that we were hoping that this was gonna draw other things out, because bullying is just a symptom, not necessarily the problem, but the symptoms that say, hey, this is going on, and if we could correct this in our department, it's gonna make the morale so much better, where those behaviors are gonna lessen if we can have the tough conversations like that. So any ideas that people have, like, hey, you know, this is what a problem is in our department, bring it forward. Let's make this like a model department for U of M, and we can be the champions of the hospital. You know, we have like champions like Kathy in our department, but you know, how can we have more champions in our department?
Maybe the educators could put out like a survey or something for learning needs.
I was gonna say, like, if there's topics or whatever, and not that Serena and I always need to present, but I empower you guys to do things like Jeanette and Marna did, to take the time to really like come together as staff and, you know, present. Doesn't have to be anything formal, but it also can be like a team building that we can, again, empower each other, recognize, you know, where our areas of weakness and how we can improve, whatnot. So we want to reflect a lot of positivity and fresh beginnings. So thank you guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Why not?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
great.
And now that you all done a presentation, if either one of you want to advance your framework, let's go.
Right.
There you go.
Did you get everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks guys for being on the Zoom.
Have a good day.